Hey folks, well I'm back at the bench doing some more work on the waterproofing of the Wraith electronics. You can see I've got in front of me, here's the LED. Let's see if you can see it. That's my light controller. It's kind of dark. Bring it back. And this is the receiver I'm using. Now it's actually the exact same as this receiver, but I've pulled the cardboard off and I've put the header pins in 90 so it doesn't have the spin in it, because it makes it shorter. So whatever I put this in, I'll probably do the same thing. It's probably going to go in my old Losi XX buggy, but that's for another video. So what I figured I would do, oh sorry, and I got the Servo as well. Good old 7955 TG. I've had this one for quite a while. I probably had this before everybody else was using them. This before in the rock crawler scene, popular Servo. But I had this. I bought it for my muggy. Still chugging along just fine. So tonight, I think I'm going to try to get this waterproofed and this waterproofed. This will be easy. I'll do that first, and then this will be a little more involved. Should be able to do it all in one video, so I'll get started. First things first, for the receiver, take this little sticker off here, because that tells you where the channels are. This is channel 1, 2, 3, and 4. So I'm going to peel this off and save it. I may put it back on, I may not. And I'd actually put this heat shrink on myself. You can see I already did a little bit of goop on the bottom just to protect those pins from anything while it was mounted. I'm going to just cut this heat shrink off along the side, like so, and grab, where is it, my small needle nose pliers, right here. And I should be able to just peel this sucker right off. Oh, no I won't, not until I do this. Now one thing with this waterproofing, and I thought of this after with the speed controller, is I waterproofed right over the LED so you can't see it flashing. So I'll have to take care of that in some way. And this one I waterproofed right over the, or I heat shrunk right over top of the butt. So how the heck you're supposed to bind, I wasn't thinking of that ahead of time. But so I think what I'll do, I can see that's the first time I've ever pulled that off. You can see how easy that black liquid electrical tape comes off. So there's a demonstration if you ever want to remove it. It's done. Comes off real easy. So I think what I'll do is I'm probably going to waterproof right over this little button, because even if I waterproof over it, the liquid electrical tape is still flexible enough, pliable enough that I can still press that button. That's my story, and I'm sticking to it. So I got a new can of the brush-on electrical tape. I don't know if you can hear that in the video, but it's a lot thinner than this stuff. I've had this one for several years, and this one's pretty thick goop, so I'll keep, I don't know, it's the same brand, but the can is a little bit different, so maybe it's a different formula, and that's why it's thinner, but it's probably just from age that it thickened up. I'm going to do the same thing on this speed controller, or sorry, receiver, as I did on the speed controller, which I haven't actually put back together yet, but going to slop this stuff on. See how much thinner that stuff is? Goes on a lot nicer than the old can. Kind of actually flows where you want it to go. I'm even going to go all the way around the coax antenna connections. Nice thing is, if it doesn't work, I can peel this stuff right back off again, but I can't see it causing a problem. So there's that. And you don't have to worry about these overheating either. not drawing any power really through them, so ooh, there's a good sloppy drop. Yeah, this new can is way better. Found it at my local hardware store, got lucky. I think it was the last can in town, but probably won't even have to heat shrink it after the fact, but we'll see. Probably still will. Now the reason I'm doing this is because the radio box in the Wraith, it's got an O-ring in it, but nah, it's not very good for keeping stuff out, I don't think. It's not meant to keep moisture or water out, it's more dust and dirt. So there you go. I'm going to set that aside. Probably going to have a few drips and runs on it, but set that aside so that it can dry. And now, like I say, the servo is going to be a little more involved because got to get in and do something with this bearing here. I think what I will do is pull it apart and really grease that up in there. I'll have to check if I got any waterproof grease. Pretty sure I do. And then what you see in this red box off to the side, it's from Princess Auto, Universal Series O-ring assortment. Once I've got that unit greased up, oh, cheapo hinge came loose, go figure. But I'm going to slip an O-ring, something like probably this guy right here. Hopefully it won't bind up too bad, but you throw, oh, maybe I can go the one size up. Let's see here. You throw the O-ring over there with some grease right over the shaft. And then you put your servo horn on, which I don't have handy. And that should keep the moisture out. Now there is a little bit of a lip here that I'm probably going to cut back just to give me a little more clearance, because I'm worried that as soon as I tighten down that servo screw, it's going to bind up. But before I can do that, come on, let's fix this. This is going to bug me. Let me just fix this hinge. What do you expect for cheap? There we go, made in China. Before I do that, I got to open this up in order to get into that bearing. So it's just four, in this case, 4 small Phillips screws. What I'll do is I'll just take that liquid electrical tape and run it around each seam. So I think that'll be sufficient. And also goop a bunch where the wire is. Now if you pull the back off, there's your circuit board. You need to pull that whole screw off, all those screws out to get the top off. And there you go. There's all your gears, all titanium, except I think for the one gear at the very bottom is a plastic one. It's the weak spot. So you can see inside the case, it's got that one bearing in there. That's the one I want to slop the grease to and even put some on this shaft. Alright, this is the grease I'm going to use. It's from Canadian Tire Motomaster Synthetic Blend Extreme Pressure Grease. For severe conditions and high-low temperature, blah blah blah, premium performance, protection, water resistant, and resistance and durability. And if you read through the through this, it says it offers maximum protection under severe conditions, blah blah, high-low temperatures, increases bearing life, reduces friction, heat buildup, offers exceptional resistance to water and dirt, which is what I want. So look at that, it's nice and red, and it reeks too. It's gonna get some rags handy. And what I'm gonna do is just take, what can I use? I'll just take my finger, and I'm just gonna slop some around too much. Now this stuff is fairly thick, so and being that it's high pressure grease, I think it has a tendency of hardening under extreme pressure. But so there, that'll I can probably put a little more on there. Get my little screwdriver. Now, don't take what I'm doing as, I don't know, maybe it'll work, maybe it won't. This isn't gospel. You might have your own way of doing it. I'm learning as I go. So now, I'm a little worried about cutting that ridge off because that's actually what holds the bearing in. So that would be a bad idea. And now that I look in there, it almost looks like the bearing has an O-ring seal in behind it too. See if I can push her out and take a look. Sure enough, O-ring seal, but no, yeah, it's got no shield on that side. It's non-shielded bearing. So, I'm going to take a bunch of this stuff. Yeah, I know, it's like, normally you use oil in the bearings, but this is like a low speed bearing. So it's going to be fine. Now one side is a little more shielded than the other. So I will put that to the outside, and I'm pretty sure that's the way it was when she popped out. I wasn't paying attention. So I'll stick it back in there. Yeah, this is going to be, that O-ring came out. Got to hold your tongue just right. I'm actually going to throw some grease in there where that bearing sits, and that'll hold the bearing or the O-ring in place. Probably got my fat head in the way. Sorry about that. Still gotta get used to this new position I'm filming or videoing in. There, take this, slap it down, get it right into the groove. Take this bearing, put it that side down. Come on. Try not to say any curse words for the younger folks that might be watching this. Always push on the outside of the shield, or outside of the bearing, the outer race, not the inner portion, because you can damage it. Now I could use something like a socket, or actually I should have a nut driver that might be the right size to push that down. Let's look through here. Too small. See, that would push right on the balls. So this guy is too big. Never mind. Wait a minute. Wait a minute. Still too big. There we go. Perfect. And that bearing is seated. Take some more grease. Slap it all around in there. Now, being that this is a high torque servo, the drag that this grease is going to cause, not maybe, but it will cause it to have to work harder, should be offset by the fact that it's a 7955 and it's got plenty of juice. Now, drop that back on. So, and slap the screws back in. Boy oh boy, I gotta get rid of that grease now, it just reeks. I still gotta do the differentials and that, and I'll use that same stuff. So there you go, like so. So now, let me get rid of this smelly stuff. Where did I put the cap? There it is. I'll put it up in my cupboard. There we go. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to do the liquid electrical tape on the outside now. Before I do that, because I've been touching it with greasy fingers and whatnot, I am going to take some electronic contact cleaner. I use this and non-chlorinated brake cleaner from Canadian Tire for all my cleaning, because it's doesn't hurt the plastics and just works good. Evaporates nice and quick, especially this stuff. I'm glad I found it at the John Deere dealership, and it's reasonable. Being that it's from John Deere, you'd think it would be cost a fortune, but it's about $7 a can. Up here in Canada, works great. Get all that grease off. Should be good. Now, take some more of the new. Well, maybe I'll use the old stuff because it won't run off as quick. If I can get it open. This lid's ornery. Need some pliers. There we go. And what I'm going to do, you know the routine. I'm just going to take it and slop it on like so. Now how much this heat sink case actually does is, I don't know, up for debate. I honestly don't think it helps that much. So no biggie, I guess, covering some of it up. This servo is long past warranty for its age. It's got to be. I think I got this when the 7955 first came out. It was like, it's got to be 4, maybe 5 years already. So, doesn't matter the whole end. Cover it up. This side. Now the servo was obviously inherently a little bit waterproofed already with the O-rings that High Tech put in it, but I don't have $100 and some right now for a new one, so I want to protect it as best I can. There. Little bit on each screw. Don't look pretty, but it's not about pretty. It's about function. Voila! Now, in theory, make sure I get it around the wire even better so it soaks in there. Should be good. Just gonna find a spot to hang it while it dries, and then can start putting some of it back together. Now, don't know about this light controller. I'll have to think about that one for a while, because it's got a couple little dip. You can see right in the center there. Maybe you can't. Couple little switches, and I don't necessarily want to cover them up, though. Once they're set, they're set. So maybe it's maybe it doesn't matter. But I'll think about that one for a while and make a decision on it. I won't bother showing you waterproofing that. So here's the receiver. Got a little bit where it's stuck to the bench, but it's not too bad. I think I'll put one more little coat on it because it doesn't have to go into a box, so it doesn't matter if it gets a little big. But I'm also going to put heat shrink over it after too. So Whew, there you go. There's the reason for the cardboard right there. Big drips. There. So it doesn't really matter because it would just peel off of my work mat anyway. And voila! Now that's just in case. So I'm going to try to waterproof the receiver box, but that's just in case water still gets in. I know I'm kind of protected on two fronts. So there you have it, a little more waterproofing. Next one I think will be, the next video is going to be dealing with the motor. Now I said it was a 13.5, it's actually a 10.5. A little bit more motor. 13.5 I think would be perfect for what I want. But I've got a 17.5 Novak, a non-ballistic. It's I think the SS model that I'm going to try out. So next video I will open that sucker up and waterproof the sensor board, because that's the main thing you have to waterproof in those. And then hopefully the Wraith will be ready to get wet if it wants to. So until next time, take care and talk to you later.